Well, guys, Dave and Callie here. Thank you for joining the show. Today, of course, everybody's talking about the Ukraine and all these clips that we're seeing. Um, and of course, we've been looking at all ABC, NBC, CNN, um, and even articles from the AP, and you say to yourself, well, is this really what's going on, or is this what they want us to believe? Now, I'm not trying to say that there's a conspiracy because maybe there's not. But I also kind of caution of what we're seeing. Should we believe it 100%? Because there's so many underlining layers and so forth. Anthony Blinken, our Secretary of State, uh, went on and was discussing situations over there, but yet it seems like kind of a weak stance, uh, basically saying that we're only working in collaboration with NATO. Check out this clip, and then you decide on your own. I'm going to show you a couple of things here.
Working, again, as we speak, in coordination with allies and partners at this prospect of banning oil imports.
So it's interesting you added the in coordination. We will not do this unilaterally. The United States is not going to do this unilaterally.
A hallmark of everything we've done to date has been this coordination with allies and partners. We are much more effective across the board when we're doing things together in as close a coordination as possible. There are instances where we each do something a little bit different, but it complements the whole. So in the first instance, we want to make sure that we're acting in coordination. I'm not going to rule out taking action one way or another, irrespective of what they do, but everything we've done, the approach starts with coordinating with allies and partners.
Yeah, so it's all around coordinating with our partners. Well, I understand that, but still, from a discussion point, it sounds like we're not taking a real strong stance on it. And of course, you've got the people that would be upset because we just pulled everything out of Afghanistan and so forth. Why would we want to get involved with another war in somebody else's country? But at the same time, you don't want to leave the people out in the cold and stranded. And then there's the question of whether they're part of the NATO or not part of the NATO, and who should stand up for who. And of course, we're only seeing it from our point of view, from our side. We obviously don't see it from Putin's side, but the guy is absolute terror to his people. So I'm not justifying what he's doing. I'm just saying that there may be a little more to all this than what meets the eye. There might be things that are being allowed to happen so that other things can maybe be covered up. So I don't know. Also with this no-fly zone, they also came out and basically gave the green light, for...
To Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who's in Moldova this morning. Mr. Secretary, good morning to you.
There he is again.
Vladimir Putin has said that sanctions amount to a declaration of war. They are impacting his economy, but they're not stopping his military. When will sanctions stop the fight?
Margaret, the impact of the sanctions is already devastating, which is presumably why he said what he said. But at the same time, we continue to see President Putin doubling down and digging in on this aggression against Ukraine. That's continuing. And I think we have to be prepared, unfortunately, tragically, for this to go on for some time.
NATO has said none of its 30 members are willing to set up a no-fly zone. President Biden has been very clear he has no interest in that or combat troops. But what more can the United States do here? If, for instance, the Polish government, a NATO member, wants to send fighter jets, does that get a green light from the U.S., or are you afraid that that will escalate tension?
No, that gets a green light. In fact, we're talking with our Polish friends right now about what we might be able to do to backfill their needs if, in fact, they choose to provide these fighter jets to the Ukrainians. What could we do? How can we help to make sure that they get something to backfill the planes that they're handing over to the Ukrainians. We're in very active discussions with them about that. Look, I've been in Europe for the last couple of days working closely, as always, with our allies and partners at NATO, the European Union, the G7 countries, and all of us together are continuing to take steps to increase the pressure on Russia through additional sanctions, all of which are very actively under discussion and will be implemented in the coming days, as well as taking further steps to give the Ukrainians what they need to defend themselves against the Russian aggression.
So I'm just concerned to the point where how much of the media can we really believe? You would hope that they would be truthful about this, but the problem is so much manipulation and omissions of information, not covering certain things or spinning a certain narrative, makes a lot of us skeptic of what we see and hear on mainstream media. The thing that kind of bothers me is there was an announcement that MasterCard and Visa were pulling their support from Russia. So they're no longer going to be doing transactions with Russia using MasterCard and Visa. And, that directly affects the citizens. So, of course, that could be part of a sanctioning position, but it's not something that MasterCard and Visa decided on their own. So that's number one. And then number two, well, here, let's look at what Stan Cho, I think is how you pronounce it, said here. It says, MasterCard and Visa suspended their operations in Russia, the companies said Saturday, in the latest blow to the country's financial system after the invasion of the Ukraine. MasterCard said cards issued by Russian banks will no longer be supported by the network, and any MasterCard issued outside the country will not work at Russian stores or ATMs. Okay, so, we're looking at, they're actually doing this, and it's all about a sanction or pressure on Russia. But at the same time, I want to tell you guys that the Russian ruble is so unstable, it's lost 60% of its value. The MasterCard and Visa have the added problem of the exchange rate manipulation, even to the point where there could be several charges being charged and then all of a sudden they're not being honored. So it makes business sense for MasterCard and Visa to come out and say they're going to suspend it. However, that's not the case, or that's not what it's reporting. What's actually happening, and you'll see here where it says the twin suspensions were announced within 16 minutes of each other, and they followed a private video call earlier in the day between President Volodymyr Zelensky of the Ukraine and U.S. lawmakers. During the conversation, Zelensky asked the U.S. to turn off MasterCard and Visa for the Russians. So, as you see there, that there was a request, and of course that request went out immediately. Immediately. So, MasterCard and Visa have become an arm of the government because they're doing the government's bidding. I don't think that they were saying, oh, well, it's going to be against the law for you to operate in that country. No, I don't think they can do that. But at the same time, the government asking them to do that, is kind of an extension of their power. So the other thing is, let me remove this. The other thing is, MasterCard and Visa can kind of stand back and do their virtue statement, like saying, "Oh well, we're doing our part by, shutting down the transactions and helping with the sanctions," and then they can kind of take credit for that position. versus if they had done it on their own, there would have been all sorts of outcry and people saying it wasn't right and so forth. So anyway, there's that aspect. It's just my opinion. You know, everything you see that I talk about is always just going to be my opinion. There's no real fact behind it. I'm just expressing my opinion, sharing with you guys, just like most of the creators out here, to stimulate a little bit of thought, you know, so that you'll think about it and think about what's going on around us. And it's just another way of getting information that's not spoon-fed to you by the mainstream media, which seems to be the big thing that they're all worrying about. Mainstream media is worrying about, the extreme left is real worried about. They've even came out in a statement saying that the ones that they fear the most are the small creators on social media that are putting out information, because most people kind of trust what's being talked about a little more than what they're seeing on mainstream media. So now these people are gravitating to small creators like me and Shannon and Will and Matt and you know, the ones that you guys know. And so now through the numbers, there's millions and millions of people following, you know, private creators, kind of redigesting the information out there and kind of looking between the cracks and maybe seeing what's really going on as much as possible. So anyway, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And absolutely 100% give some comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Maybe I'm just talking off, you know, off on some tangent here. I don't know. But with those that do comment, I really love your comments. I love, you know, communicating back and forth. And just in the last week, I found that I have friends all over the United States just because of this channel. And also out there, Karen C., if you're watching, I want to thank you for everything that you did during the convoy and getting information to us. Tim, you know, all the contributions that you did during the trucker convoy up north. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll see you on the next one.